Hi guys, and welcome to your favourite travel show. This week it's all about the Great Barrier Reef. Nikki shows us around Lizard Island and I go fishing for a colourful coral trout. North Queensland shines with gorgeous weather, crystal clear oceans and beautiful sandy beaches. So come on, let's go. Situated approximately 100 kilometres north of Cooktown and 30 kilometres from Cape Flattery, is a national park on the Great Barrier Reef that is truly outstanding. For yachties, Lizard Island has long been a favourite. While most of the island is national park, the seas surrounding it are within the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park and are predominantly green zones. So with that being said, we leave the fishing rods at home and we'll let Nikki take us on a guided tour of the island.
Lizard Island has always intrigued me, so when the opportunity arose to hop aboard the Nikky and sail over to it, there's no way I was missing out. We've just landed here on Lizard Island National Park and I've got fish swimming around my feet. It's teeming with marine life here. And that's what Captain James Cook would have found when he landed here over 200 years ago in 1770. He was navigating his way through the reef and found this to be an excellent vantage point. This is some of northeast Queensland's best snorkelling spots. The coral reef that fringes the Blue Lagoon makes it the one-of-a-kind beach that it is. So if you can get yourself on a flight or a private charter over here, it's definitely one to tick off the bucket list. And chances are, you'll be the only one here. Get used to this. The days can slip away easily here, but it's not the only spot I want to show you. It's time to strap on your hiking boots for a change of pace. As you take this walk up to Cook's Lookout, it is an arrowed walk, so make sure you keep your eye on those arrows. If not, you could lose your track. But once you get to the top, we're only maybe halfway there at the moment, the view is spectacular. So I'm going to keep going. Getting a sweat on now. It's probably a good idea to do this walk early in the morning because you're really exposed up on this lookout. Make sure you're wearing some really good joggers. You got a bottle of water, sunscreen, sunnies and a good hat. Get to the top of Cook's Lookout, you'll be 359 metres above sea level, which is why it's the most spectacular 360-degree view of the coastline and the reefs. And behind me you'll see Osprey and Palfrey Island, which creates the Blue Lagoon in the centre. So when you get to the top, make sure you add a rock to the cairn and sign the visitor's book. Stop and catch your breath before you head back down to Watson's Bay. Coming down is always a lot easier, and right on cue our tender has arrived to take us back to the Nikky for an afternoon of snorkelling to top off this leg of the adventure. thought I'd be hand feeding fish.
Heading out for a little snorkel this morning. And the top's down. Getting ready to go, should be good.
We feel alive in the light, feel alive in the summertime. And we are breaking free now wherever we go.
Lizard Island is so close to the outer reef that you can actually see it from the top of Cook's Look. The many number of reefs out there to snorkel and dive is astounding, and it's world class right in our backyard.
I got my head in the clouds and got my feet on the ground. You see, I've been around the world and flipped it upside down. Yeah, I'm a dreamer, a shaker, a mover and risk taker, and I'm gonna give it all that I got. Yeah, yeah.
That is addictive. There's so many varieties of fish down there. You think you've seen one and then another one will come up that's completely different to the first one. Saw a little reef shark out there too. He was on the edge, on the deeper water. Just so cool. Think I found a new hobby. That was amazing.
We've had a fantastic time aboard the Nikky, and special thanks to Rick and Michelle for their hospitality and for giving us the opportunity to explore such a unique place. There just isn't enough words to describe the beauty of this island. So whatever you've got to do to get yourself over here, make it happen.
I'm not just living, I'm alive. I'm not just breathing to survive. I see imagination twirled as I'm living in this world. And with my eyes wide open, try to take it all in. Now come along and let the good times begin.
Part of my pre-trip preparation is to always check the wheel bearings, especially the fronts. Now I prefer to replace my wheel bearings rather than repack them. And that's because it takes about the same amount of time to do either job. And I'd rather have the peace of mind knowing I've got a brand new component in there. Now, if you're on your trip and you're traveling along and you hear a noise in the front end, the first place you should check is your wheel bearings. Now, you can do that on the side of the road. If you jack your vehicle up, give your wheel a wiggle. And if you've got movement like that, you've got some serious issues. But if you catch it in time and you carry a spare with you, you can actually fix this up on the side of the road. How do you do that? Well, I'll briefly show you, and it might actually just get you out of trouble one day. So why should you pay attention to a noisy wheel bearing? Well, for starters, the wheel bearing will collapse and then it could weld itself to the stub axle. And then if it gets hot enough, like in this case, it's actually welded the stub axle to the CV shaft, and all sorts of horrible things can happen there. You could lose the wheel. You just don't want to go down that track. And a repair, if you'd got it in time, would normally cost $100 to $200. But now, if you find yourself in this situation like this one where it's completely cactus, it will cost you up to $1,000 to do the repair. So make sure you keep an eye on those wheel bearings. I've taken the auto-locking hub off and also the brake caliper. Now, depending on the make of your vehicle, there'll be some sort of locking system. Just undo these screws here, keep them all in one spot. Now I'll just grab the locking plate. Yeah. There we go. Okay, now behind here is your tensioner. I'll just undo that. Now the whole hub should just come off. Let's have a closer look. Let's get this seal off. Yep, that's shot. Get these cones off now. Just need your punch and your hammer. Belt this cone out. There we go. One cone. So once you have your cones out, don't throw them away because we'll use them to tap the new ones in. If you're in the bush, tap them in with the hammer the same way you got them out, but because I'm in a workshop, I'm going to take the easy way out and press them in. But first, we need to give everything a really good clean up. Got my new cone in there already. I'll use my old cone in a minute. Now it's time for my old cone to shine. Now you need to put this in the way it came out so you can tap on the outer edge to get it out. Yep, that's home now. Ta-da! Now you can chuck your old cone away. So just repeat the same process with the front cone, and then we can pack the new wheel bearing and it's ready to go. So I'm going to do the bigger bearing first. Put the seal in, and that'll hold the bearing in, and I'll flip it over and do the smaller one. Let's get a bit of this grease, HTP grease. Put it around the cone face. Okay, and I'll just put a little bit around the face of this bearing here. Got a nice coating, we can drop it in now. And we'll put the seal on using the press. If you do have access to a press, it's a much better option because you've got less chance of damaging your seal. But hey, if you're in the bush, a flat piece of timber and a hammer will do the same job. I just need to take it down to this lip here. The process for the small outer bearing is exactly the same as the inner, but less the seal. And don't forget to grease your seal as well. When your hub's back on, you just need to remember what you did to disassemble everything and simply do it in reverse. And don't forget to preload your wheel bearings according to your particular vehicle specifications. And that's the basics on how to replace your wheel bearings. But the best advice I could probably give you is to make sure you carry a wheel bearing kit with you. So if you're out on the tracks and you have one fail, you're covered because you've got one of these in your kit. Back up in North Queensland now, I'm catching up with a good mate of mine, Dan Owen. He's also part owner of Cairns Diesel Services. Now for far too long, Daniel has been spruiking on about all the coral trout on his doorstep. So I've taken him to task to help me land my first common coral trout or leopard trout, which sport the majestic red colours. The weather conditions are perfect to head back out into the reef, and to say I'm a bit excited is an understatement. The southeasterly wind has been really kind to us today. We've got perfect weather. I'm with Daniel from Cairns Diesel Services. I actually met Daniel a while ago around a campfire talking motors, engines, that kind of thing. So Daniel, do you think there's any chance of getting a coral trout today?
Yeah, I think we're in for a very good chance to catch a few trout today and possibly a few other species.
Yep.
We've headed out to Sudbury Reef today. As you can see, the weather's perfect.
Yes.
So hopefully it all works out for us.
There's a good chance.
Yes, I believe so.
All right, I'll race you to put the first line in.
Sounds good.
Sudbury Reef is close to 50 kilometres east of Cairns and is a horseshoe-shaped reef that gives partial protection from the southeasterly swell. tide's just turning. We're in 22 metres of water and the temperature is at 25. It's going up, so that's good news. And as quick as Daniel puts his line in, he's onto a fish. Unbelievable. Here we go. Exhibit A is a beautiful specimen, and this is about the common size for this particular area. I'll be honest, I had my doubts, but Daniel wasn't lying when he said he knew how to catch coral trout. Maybe my first fish for the day. Fishing over the reef, these coral trout fight dirty and they're masters at snagging you up on the coral below. Great weather coming out here, and this is just topping it off. About 22 metres of water. Daniel just pulled up a beautiful coral trout a couple of minutes ago. Not a trout, but a leather jacket. I'm happy with that. It's still a first for me, and he put up a good fight anyway. That's just a warm-up.
There's one in the boat.
Yes. Ah, and the trout whisperer is at it again. Unbelievable. Hello. Another coral trout, and I can clearly see that Daniel was on a roll here. He's not letting up for no one. What do we got?
Just on 40, that one. 40.
Excellent.
Another keeper.
Better bite. We have a lot of colour. Check this out. There we go, red emperor. Colours. Oh, Daniel's on.
There's only a little one.
Juvenile red emperor are one of the prettiest fish you'll ever see. But as they grow in size, they lose their defined colours. They need to be a thumping 55 centimetres long to be legal. So it's back into the blue for these undersized guys.
Shame they got to be that small.
Do they? Huge, do they?
Yeah.
It's a tough day's fishing when the trout are outnumbered by the red emperor. But fish this vibrant will put a smile on your face even if they are undersized.
Good fish.
Just let us go, eh?
Yeah, start fishing. Don't know what you're going to bring up.
Bigger.
Right Emperor Central here. Check it out, he's a bit bigger.
Getting close.
47. Okay, so to keep these guys for table fish, they have to be 55 centimetres. This guy's 47, so in the drink we go. Since we seem to be somehow infested with undersized red emperors in this spot, Daniel suggested we move to another bommy, hoping for a good-sized trout to come swimming my way.
Just keep it low. Sure. Down this way.
It's one on the way down, always keep attention on the way down.
There's Cairns fishing for you. Oh wow. Ah, yeah.
We'll get this one.
Yeah, good.
Ah,
Woohoo!
that's what you want.
Yeah, maybe.
Bigger than my one. That's not bad.
Wow, he's a monster. Yeah. Thank you. Look at that. That is a monster of a coral trout. Wow. That's incredible. You feel his belly, it's huge. He's got some weight to him. Wow, that's really cool. This is why you come to Cairns to fish. You catch one of these guys. Daniel promised me that we'd find coral trout here, and he certainly delivered. Check it out. Wow. So these guys are fast growers for the first couple of years. In the first 6 months they can grow up to 14 centimetres, but then after that they slow right down. Okay, so beautiful. We have 53.5 centimetres. What was your one before?
47 maybe, yeah, give
Ah.
or take.
Yay! And you see that with the coral trout, the beautiful blue rings around their eyes. Wow. Photo time for this one. Well, I've had a very satisfying day out on the reef. Seeing that red glint come through the water of a coral trout is a pretty special feeling. And the weather, that held out too. It was supposed to blow up to 15 knots this afternoon, but instead it glassed right out with just enough movement to keep the fish interested. A huge thank you to Daniel for his knowledge and the use of his boat. Had an absolute blast. Well, it's time to de-rig the fishing line, pack up the tackle box until next time. Keep watching next week as we go in search of new destinations that are pre-packaged with action.